Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on the channel. It's good to be back. Hello everyone in chat, I hope we're keeping well. Um, Lots to discuss as we've had, like a week off now, and I'm looking forward to this stream as usual. As usual, let me know if you can see and hear me. We'll say hello to everyone in chat, and then we will run through my team, have a look on Twitter, and we'll have a general discussion. We'll then move on to a wildcard draft, and maybe we might just do a free hit just for the sake of it. And talk a bit about chip strategy. There's a lot to talk about since the last time I would have recorded a deadline stream, and it will be good to be able to have a general discussion about all things chip strategy because, as you know, in recent weeks there's been a lot more information than we've had before this week. So a lot to run through, but looking forward to it. Do say hello in chat. And let me know if you're in here. But good morning, I hope you're well. And we're getting to the later part of the season. Really does feel like it when we're talking about chip strategy for the second half of the season. And this is always the part of the season where people make most of their gains. Well, a lot of the engaged people at least. And, there's a lot less look and it is a small bit more template. But I look forward to it, like many of you do. And for me, it is nice to see that, people are penciling in dates. You have to make a decision whether it's now or later. Russell says, hello from Budapest Blades. Kieran is also in here. Good morning, Kieran. But anyway, let's get on to my team. And we'll run through how I currently line up for this game week. Now, here's my team in front of you. And for anyone who would have watched my team selection or transfer plans, you know what it looks like. Let me quickly pop out chat so I can see what's going on real quick. Where are we? Chat. I'm just going to pop this out so I can type in chat also. Perfect. Okay. I hope you can see yourself in chat. Let me update that as well because I want you to be able to see your own chats. Give me 2 seconds, guys. But we have a lot to chat about, and I think, I love the way things have just so quickly changed. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. In a sense where, there was no conversation really about chip strategy before this week for the second half of the season anyway. A lot of people who were talking about it were just hitting the wildcard in that given week. But now, we can actually have a proper discussion on where exactly we want to do things. So, I hope you can see yourself in chat. I hope the audio is okay and you can hear me. And I hope you're all well. But Anish is on wildcard. And again, we will be getting onto wildcard later down the line, Anish, and I'll give you some of my thoughts on it. And Chris says, I can't wait for all of us to bench O'Reilly for his haul. Yeah, that would be inevitable. I mean, for me, he's been a player who's not getting good enough minutes in recent weeks. With Gahey coming in, I just wonder how that leaves O'Reilly now. And I do wonder, whether it's a case of O'Reilly missing out completely or if he could play in midfield. Again, really depending on Rodri's fitness. Already, Anish with the 17 months of a cup of chai. He says, chai to go. Anish, you're too good, man, and you've been here since day one. But thank you, Anish, for supporting the channel as usual. And a great way to start off the stream. Again, you're too good, and we will be looking at a wildcard, so bear with me for just a second as I go through my own team. But we will be definitely doing a wildcard, and I'll be interested to see what you guys think. If you are, trying to weigh up your chip strategy for the season. Kieran says, I've got him at the moment, not sure whether I should bench him or not. Yeah, so currently I'm benching O'Reilly. Just looking at the last five games, he's got 190 and 460s or ish, which is not enough for me really. And hello Swasine, good to see you, good morning. Hello JC, hope you're well. That's why I'd rather just play the likes of a Thiago, who's the guaranteed minutes. Again, I wouldn't play O'Reilly, I don't think, over anyone else in my current team. I think there might be a slight debate on whether I'd want to play him over Anderson. But for me, I deem that Leeds game good. I think I could be swayed if you told me that O'Reilly starts as confirmation before the deadline, which I think there is a chance that happens. But the reason for that is I think there's the slightest chance that O'Reilly gets benched, like the tiniest. And I think there's a slight chance that he gets subbed before 60. And I also think there's a slight chance that City concede. So adding all those little accumulative things is kind of making me lead towards benching O'Reilly. In comparison to Anderson, I have no doubt he'll start unless he gets an injury in the warm up or something. But he's a very, very high chance of getting DEFCON and a moderately decent chance of a clean sheet in comparison to O'Reilly. It just outweighs it for me. So I think if you told me O'Reilly starting, it could change things for my team. Not drastically at all, but it just means I could start him for sure. I mean, off at 60, then clean sheet wiped out after wouldn't be so bad. Yeah, that is true, Kieran, but in recent weeks, that's not been the case with O'Reilly. He's been the one to stay on the pitch and concede or get brought off early before the 60th minute. But yeah, it is a possibility. I just don't see this being a game, a game of this magnitude where anyone will make early subs. Now that I think of it, again, you have to take game state into account. And I'm actually going to look at this because this intrigues me. Unless there's been a smashing, I don't think anyone makes early subs. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look through recent seasons. So United have made early subs in the last time they played. Sorry, I should really just bring this up on stream. I don't know why I'm doing it on my phone. Apologies. Basically, what I was looking at is, have they been making early subs in the derby? And the first one I've seen was United making subs here in the 62nd minute in the last game. The game before, 0-0. There were no Jeremy Doku for Foden, early sub. Making a defender sub in a derby, I just don't think that is likely now that I think of it. De Bruyne off 68 minutes. This game here, 1-0. Guardiola 90 minutes. Yeah, so maybe it is unlikely. But then again, how would I weigh up United's odds of scoring? Like, I think this could be a game of goals, even though United are under new management. Do you think Aaron is asking that Semenyo plays? So that would be Semenyo playing 3 games in a row. Now, I wouldn't write that off for Semenyo. Again, he is a minutes monster. But I just wonder, would they rather preserve him for the Champions League? When I say preserve, this is a derby game, and I just feel like there's a higher probability because it's not a cup game that, I would say the Premier League takes priority in this season, at this point in the season for Pep. That's just my opinion. And therefore, you would play your players that already know your system, or at least know your system the most. And that is, for me, playing Rayan Cherki and benching Semenyo. Sorry, I was just bringing up Semenyo's profile so you could see his minutes for City so far. Yeah, so 90 versus Newcastle, 64 versus Exeter. I think it is unlikely that he starts this game. But would I be surprised? Absolutely not. Again, he's just that good. And his minutes for Bournemouth have been that good. I don't see why not. But I think there's a higher probability of him being benched. Hello, Gavin. Frank says, start one O'Reilly, Roden, Richards. I think in that case, I'd just start O'Reilly. I don't really love Roden. I know a lot of people would probably play Roden in that case, but I don't think there's too much in that. Would you start Alderete, Anderson, or O'Reilly? And now that's a tougher one. That's a real tougher one in my opinion. For me, I think I would play Anderson. It's Anderson with an O you've put in. So I'm going to say O'Reilly. O'Reilly over Alderete. Wilson versus Leeds or Calvert-Lewin versus Fulham. I mean, you have to play the man in form for me. What's your take on Tavernier? Yeah, Tavernier seems to be the pick of the season now from most content creators, it looks like. To be honest, I completely understand the appeal. And I actually think, for the price point, very, very good. I'm all for it. My problem with Tavernier is... I don't necessarily call it a problem. But I do expect Bournemouth to sign someone. Maybe it mightn't be someone who will give a direct downtick to Tavernier's minutes, but I don't see them not signing someone, essentially. But yeah, it's definitely a very good pick, and I can understand if you're going there, especially if you're not on an early wildcard. I think long term it just looks so good. Would you buy Semenyo and Guimaraes for Reinders and Saka? I would not, Pantel. I actually think Saka has an opportunity to do quite well in these next few weeks, and he's slightly underrated. That's the type of pick Saka is, you know. Like, he'll tick away nicely, and then, like, right now he's ticking away nicely and he's not playing well. I think that's fair to say. But if that's the case, you know, imagine he starts to play well and he has this really nice foundation of points because, you know, he's always going to be involved to what Arsenal do. And I don't think I worry about his minutes going into this game with Forest. Again, we're in game week 22 and they're 6 points ahead and they have a league to win. No, I don't see him being benched for this game. I could eat my words completely, but for me, no doubts. You know, it's a different conversation on whether or not you want to speak about who's better, Rice or Saka. But for me, Saka is still a better asset. And right now with no Cole Palmer, I don't think, you know, I have too many worries playing a Saka who's more expensive over a Rice. But if you're on wildcard, again, different story. Should I sell Cunha to Rodgers? I think I would. I think I would generally, regardless of your strategy. You know, I don't mind Cunha. I actually had a dream last night that he scored because I've been thinking about it all day yesterday on whether I wanted to sell Cunha and whether or not he's still a good option. But I still think, you know, there is a world in which you could hold on to him. We've seen Cunha in these big games actually do quite well in terms of, you know, his work rate, very high DEFCON in these tougher fixtures. And also, like, he does get chances. But for me, is there a better option for the next 2 game weeks? Absolutely. Hello, says Sally. Paqueta replacements, Tavernier, Dango, or Harry Wilson. For me, I would just go Tavernier, as boring as it may be, because it looks like everyone's going there. Amongst the engaged managers, he's still not going to be too highly owned. Start Thiago over Tavernier. And start Mukiele over Anderson. JC, that's you know, a very tough decision. And to be honest, I think you're going to be hurt either way. That's a very swingy decision to make. For me, I'd probably play Anderson over Mukiele. Again, like, if you're high on Sunderland still, then I would absolutely play Mukiele. I mean, he's been that good in recent weeks. Like, why not? But then it's a case of, you know, Thiago's also been that good. If it were me, I would always play Tavernier over Thiago. Again, just going to the bridge is always going to be a tough game, regardless of whatever form you are or who you are, to be honest. Updates on Palmer. Yeah, you know, he was in training, I believe. But for me, like, you know, if you're on wildcard, I think you just go with Palmer anyway. And Enzo. And if it needs be, you just knock him down when it comes to it. But Palmer's a weird one, and that's why I much prefer Wildcard 24, because it gives you way more time to see what happens or what is happening with Palmer and how Liam Rowe Sr. wants to manage his minutes. But overall, I think at this stage, you probably just go with Palmer anyway. I went Enzo over Tavernier, better team, better vibes. I hear it, Maximilian, but is it better team, better vibes? You know, Bournemouth, as shite as they've been, they're going to be a team that scores goals regardless. Imagine there is an uptick in how they are as a team, you know. Yeah, I think it is fair to say, I mean, Chelsea are a better team than Bournemouth, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Yo, should I start 2 or 3 out of Tarkowski, Tavernier and Anderson? I would play Tarkowski and Tavernier. Are you making transfers this game week? Yes, I am. So that probably brings us on to my transfer this game week. Again, lots of questions coming in. I'm going to answer a few more and then we'll get on to my own team and what I plan on doing. Again, a lot of you guys would have watched my transfer plans and team selection videos, but I'm going to run through it anyway and give you my current thought process. Do you think you keep or sell Semenyo? Aaron, if I had Semenyo, I would keep him, but it is an awkward position to be in, because, you know, it is a case of you just can't gauge whether or not Pep is going to start him. I would keep him if I had nothing else to do. If I had a transfer to use, I would sell him. Subtry, do you think Gay is a good pick for the future? I do think he's a good pick for the future, for sure. Gahey in for Cash or Tarkowski? Yeah, Gahey probably becomes a worser asset at City, but makes all the other City assets better assets. When I say all the other ones, I mean particularly particularly the fullbacks. I mean, well, maybe not both fullbacks, but Nunes, because they're more likely to keep a clean sheet if Gay is in it. Connor says, Choi, should I start Wilson and bench Cunha, or transfer out Cunha and start the new transfer? I would play Wilson without a doubt, Connor. Bench one of Foden, Sharky, DCL. Want to bring in Xavi for Cunha and start him. Okay, that's a perfect route into my transfer. So, for me, I generally think that my team is actually quite solid for this game week. I think if you told me with certainty that Ray and Sharky is going to start this game versus United, I think I have a very strong team going into this game week. My problems lie in Mateus Cunha. I think elsewhere I have not too many issues for this game week. So, I need to talk about chip strategy and for my own team. So, like I said, and I have spoke about in videos in recent weeks, my team in game week 24 is not great. And again, I'd be interested to see what you guys think, but for me, that's not a great team. There are a lot of assets I don't want in that team, and there are a lot more assets that I'd rather have in my team. And if you disagree with that, fair, but double Newcastle with Liverpool away, triple City with rotation risk and Tottenham away, Villa for Thiago, double United for Fulham, and Newcastle for Liverpool. And probably not the optimal Arsenal, like Hincapié, who I need to get rid of. In game week 25, it also looks very poor. Triples City for Liverpool away, Newcastle away for Thiago, City at home for Alisson. Again, it's just not ideal. I don't think I have to wildcard, not at all. But I just think the points I can make up from game week 24 onwards, it'd be worthwhile doing. Now, it is by far from optimal, and I can be the first one to tell you that. I've watched multiple videos from Prass, from Ross, from Planet FPL. I'm well aware of the games that are to come, especially with wildcards and blanks, or with double game weeks and blanks. And let's look at what's to come again. It is much easier to speak on this while you guys are here, and you can give me your input and tell me what you think. But the problem with wildcarding in 24 comes in game week 31. A lot of people will dead end in 30, or dead end going into 31 and wildcard in 32, and wildcard in all of these double game weeks. Unfortunately, all the blanks in 31, or a lot of them, are the doubles in 32 or 33. So for me to navigate through that, it would mean I need to have a lot of Newcastle because they don't blank in 31 and they double in 32 or 33. It would mean that I couldn't have too many Crystal Palace, which I probably don't want in this current stage of the season anyway. But, it would be nice to have, some of the budget ones. Maybe a Camvo option opens up because Gay's gone, or Chris Richards comes back into the mix. So, I would like to have Crystal Palace assets for sure. And also, City and Arsenal. That blank, it means I can't have maybe more than 3 of each. Now, I think there is a case where, I actually hold off on the City guys until game week 32, maybe 33. And looking at their double in 33, again, they have the massive game versus Arsenal and then the easy fixture at Burnley. I don't think Ray, Sharky, Semenyo, Foden are going to be necessarily essential with the other fixture congestions in other competitions. Now, I could be wrong on that come that time, and City usually don't disappoint in double game weeks. But again, I'm just trying to say, would it be the worst thing in the world if I had to only have one City before the blank? I don't think so. And then Arsenal, everyone is going to be triple up on Arsenal. So I think if I can get through this blank, if I do wildcard in 24, with maybe 9 assets, I'd be quite happy. And then use transfers in 32 to start shifting the focus on a lot of the doublers. And then I won't have to worry about 33 because just like everyone else, I'll be free hitting in that game week. I mean, particularly if I have a lot of Newcastle assets. And I bring back in a lot of the City ones who double in game week 36 also. So, to answer my own question, Wildcard 24 is actually really nice for my team, like I said. I actually do fancy it in this current point in the team. And therefore, I plan on making my transfer around that. Now, I'm not completely sold. And again, I am a Spurs fan, so I am going to be a slight bit more biased. Let's not beat around the bush. Spurs have the best two next fixtures, West Ham and Burnley. I've seen an uptick in Xavi Simons regardless of the form of Tottenham. And I think Spurs, more than anyone in the entire league, need a result here at West Ham. If we lose to West Ham at home, there's a protest going on today. There will be absolute uproar plus. Hello Eddie, good to see you. Haaland, the Ekitike captain, we'll get onto that in just a second. And then Kit is also saying good morning. How are you, Kit? I hope you're well. Smash the like button. Also, yes, do smash the like button for us, guys. And do hit the subscribe button if you aren't already. But just going back to Xavi Simons. Again, I'm going to pull up his profile here. His minutes have been good since he got that suspension versus Liverpool. Back-to-back 90s. And he had been playing 90s up until that disastrous red card. And to be honest, look, like a goal and assist versus Brentford, a goal versus Slavia, blank versus Nottingham, but had a good game himself, and then the red card. An assist versus Bournemouth, and played very well versus Aston Villa in that second half. I think he's been very, very good, at least from my perspective. And look at the turnarounds from Brentford and Slavia. 3-day turnaround, and played back-to-back 90s. He had a nice rest due to the red card, and then came back straight away and played back-to-back 90s with a 3-day turnaround with Bournemouth and Villa. Again, like I said, absolute must-win games. There's no if, buts, or maybes. Xavi has to play. I would say it probably will be reasonable that he gets somewhat of an early sub. When I say early, I would say 75, 80. What I've noticed happens is, Xavi getting subbed off early has been quite detrimental to our team because he's not been fit all season. But I think if I, in my mind, think there's 80 plus minutes in this West Ham game and 80 plus minutes in this Burnley game, combine that with the possibility of Xavi being on penalties. Again, I tweeted about this. Again, for anyone who's not following me, I will pull it up. But I do think that there is a decent chance for Xavi to be on penalties. Am I able to build my Spurs team on FootMob? I don't know if I am or not. Anyway, let me pull up the predicted Spurs team and I can give my stamp on what I think the team is going to be. Again, sorry if I'm boring you guys with Xavi, Simons and Spurs, but maybe it is a nice way to get an insight on how I feel and why I'm making the transfer. So, here's the predicted lineup for Tottenham going into this game from FootMob. And to be honest, I don't think it'll be too far off this. I think it will be one of Polina or Gray in this midfield slot. I think you could see Simons in this Tell position. Why I say that is I think Tell is more likely to start than not. But with all the noise in the transfer window, there is a chance that he doesn't start. We could see Gallagher in this Simons position. And we could also see one of Bergville or Gray in this Gallagher position, with Gallagher going in 10. And Ben Davies is the only other one I could see slotting in here. Other than that, what I'd like to see, I would love to see Kinski get a go. I just don't see that likely. But anyway, Maximilian saying Spassine knows the lineup. Yeah, hello Ishak. Hope you're well, Ishak. Good morning, Sharp as well. Anyway, getting back to the Spurs team, Gallagher coming in for Tottenham is brilliant for Xavi Simons. The problem with Tottenham in recent weeks is, one, the creativity. The reason for that is because there's been a big disconnect, in my opinion, from Xavi Simons to the rest of the midfield. Whether that's Polina, Bentancur and Gray just struggling to control the game and get the ball to our forward line, or whether it was a case of just a lack of energy and runs forward from the midfield. I've no doubt that Gallagher will come in and he'll be that person to change that for Spurs. On the other end of the stick, West Ham have been so poor this season. Every time I watch West Ham, they've been absolutely useless. Now they're going to lose their best player, it looks like, in Paqueta. Yeah, I just fancy us in this game, and I have to. If I don't fancy us versus the worst West Ham team we've seen in years, Spurs are in a bad place. And as much as we're in a bad place, with the quality of players we have in our team, I expect us to beat West Ham. Anyway, going back to penalties, sorry. I think Xavi takes precedence over Matthias Tell due to his transfer speculation. I think that plays a large role in whether or not a player is going to take a penalty. If he's going to be shipped off this transfer window, well, Xavi's going to know that, and he's going to be the big dog and say, give me that ball, you're not going to be here for long, and I have the confidence to take it. And I just feel like that's the type of player Xavi is. We see him try to do it in the Champions League when he wanted to take the penalty from Kudus. Then he also done it again and took the ball off Romero, or Romero handed him the ball. So I feel like as much as Tell is usually on penalties, I wouldn't be surprised to see Xavi on him. And then Solanke, if he is starting, which I don't think he will be, he'll likely take penalties. But again, he has had a lack of minutes also. So I think there's a chance that Xavi's on him. So that's my little piece on Xavi. It lines me up nice for 2 game weeks. Long term, again, not great. But if I am on wildcard 24, not bad at all. Maximilian says a Dogie. I would love a Dogie, but again, I think they'll be very cautious with his stop-start season. Hello, the dude, brother. Hope you're well. See you. Can you see Watkins get 2? I don't know how I feel with Watkins, even with Malin out of the picture now. I still feel like there's a chance that, they sign someone similar to Bournemouth. You heard rumours of Paulinho being injured. Might see Basuma reintegrated. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that noise, Ishak. I'll see it I'll believe it when I see it. I believe that is just speculation from my end. And I've actually had a good source tell me that they're basically unsure as well. So nothing solid on that. Might see Basuma reintegrated. And you know what? I think there is a chance he's reintegrated, but not into the first team currently. I think there are probably 3 or 4 players who we'd still have ahead of Basuma. Anton is saying, have you thought about, or have you spoke about Ekitike captain? Yeah, this is a good conversation. Let me quickly bring up Rob T, because this will back my chat. So Rob T, as usual, do check him out if you aren't already. But here he has the highest projectors for the game week. And interestingly enough, Ekitike is 8 on this list, and who comes ahead of him, Wirtz, Virgil and Szoboszlai. Now again, you might account for minutes in this, but Ekitike over Haaland, I would find it hard to do if I'm being completely honest. Even in a game like this, I think the issue with Ekitike is that he's back from injury, only back from injury. And if Liverpool are 2 or 3 up, they're likely to take Ekitike off. Now, I'm not trying to scaremonger. I think if you told me Ekitike was going to get a solid 80 minutes for sure versus Burnley, I would be all over that, to be honest. I just think it is unlikely. You know what? Szoboszlai is actually really tempting. I'll be honest, if I had him. Again, I can understand if you don't love it. Szoboszlai is not exactly picking up very good numbers, but in a game like Burnley, where you expect, a lot of set pieces, Burnley to probably play a low block, which leads Szoboszlai up for fucking... Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. I forget that I can't just throw bombs around the place. It opens Szoboszlai up for long shots. Well, I don't mind it, to be honest. And, he's usually all over the place in games against lower teams. So I don't mind Szoboszlai, if I'm being completely honest. Good to see Virgil quite high up on this list for anyone who's holding on to him. Again, I have Alisson from myself, so happy to hold. But again, Erling Haaland leads the line, I think rightly so. City always seem to do well in these games versus United in terms of a goal perspective. In my opinion, any early team news for Manchester? Not yet. Hello, Anton. He says, is Palmer starting today? Hard to say, Anton. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. to be honest, again, it's just really hard to say with, Liam Rossini and how he wants to manage him. Gandhi told us to not back the early kickoff, so I can't captain Haaland, so might have to punt on Rodgers. That is wild, but it's funny. I mean, at what time? At 2 o'clock, we'll probably be going, why did I captain Haaland? Gandhi was right, as usual, but I don't know. Erling Haaland has been poor in recent weeks, and maybe it's actually reverse Gandhi. And Gandhi will actually make Haaland do very well. Who knows? How's it going? Says Chewy. Hello, Chewy. I hope you're well. Looks like we're on. Looks like we're about the same in terms of rank. Yeah, it's been quite a rough patch in my season so far. We started the season exponentially well, and from then it's been exponentially bad. But I have no worries, to be honest. I'm confident I can get this back from the second half of the season, and it's going to take me being bold. Karen says, I pick the 2 best midfielders from Royce, Enzo, Rodgers, Tavernier and Wilson. That's really tough. I genuinely think that Royce is more a debate on Saka. Whether, like if you have Saka and Gabriel, well then I don't think you necessarily have to get Royce. But tripling up would be priority, so maybe you go with Timber instead of Royce. It's more of a case of Royce versus Timber. Enzo, Rodgers, Tavernier and Wilson. For me, how I would rank them would be Enzo number 1. And value, I would put Tavernier, but it's very close on Rodgers and Wilson. There's not too much Karen to differentiate them. So for me, it would be Enzo and Tavernier. Again, particularly for value. Interesting to see Foden on this list, given so many people sold him last week. Top most sold midfielder, and I'm glad to hold on to him. Yeah, it's been an interesting one, Foden. A lot of people got onto me because on my wildcard team, I actually didn't go with him, and now look, he's blanked in so many games. The problem is my replacement for the option I went without Foden, you could say, would have been a Gordon or a Shirky, and they have just not returned the points. So it's been very frustrating considering I went against Foden because I've not picked up points elsewhere. But at least Foden's not there to double down on hurting me. I wildcarded last game week and already falling apart. Unlucky Anton. And again, it is risky to do the early wildcards because you don't know what they hold, because again, we don't have a lot of information for the second half of the season. Ice Valley says, Choi, do I do Saka to Tavernier to be able to afford Bruno next week? No, not this game week. I think you're more than capable of holding off for this game week at least. In my opinion anyway. I deem this a good fixture for Forest and I would expect him to start. So just looking at some of the markets, it looks like there is an uptick from Brentford and Leeds since the bookies have made their projections. Here's Rob T's projections for the game week. Liverpool, 50% chance of clean sheet. One of the rare times we see it higher than Arsenal. Villa actually very high, nearly 40%. And you look at that United City game, it's very surprising to me to see, City only 24%, even though I expect United to score. I mean, that's really, really low for me. What else is interesting? And then Tottenham are actually quite high, higher than I expected. It's great to see Tottenham at 1.88. I don't think we've been that high for a while. Higher than Arsenal, higher than Villa. So let's just say Rodgers, Saka, Royce, and then the same as City, where a lot of people have Foden, Shirky, Semenyo, and same as Chelsea, where a lot of people have Enzo, maybe a Palmer if they are early on the wildcard. So I actually don't mind the Spurs attacker, and it's actually filling me with a bit more hope, I'll be completely honest. It's good to see. Sob to NDI next week. I don't mind that, Maximilian. Hello, Anto. 88 watching, only 32 likes. Tut. Morning, folks. Hope you're all well. Good to see you, Anto. Hope you're keeping well yourself. Come on, you Spurs. I'm looking forward to the game today, actually, and hopefully see the emergence of the new signing of Conor Gallagher, which I think is a better signing than a lot of people realise. Again, maybe fair to say he's not what we need, but again, when I look at my team, particularly Tottenham, what do Spurs need? Spurs need a lot, and Conor Gallagher is a step forward and a better player than we have in that position currently. So Conor Gallagher, for me, good signing. I don't know what all this moaning is about. never as a Spurs fan will I moan about doing an early signing in the first 2 weeks of the transfer window. Absolutely no complaints for me, and I can understand the frustration from Spurs fans, but again, you know, if Thomas Frank wants him, and he's going to be our manager for the foreseeable, but I want him also. So, Dr. James says, more than legend, who to choose from midfield, Szoboszlai, Cherki, Semenyo, Rice and Rodgers, or get Bruno G for one of these? I feel like this is a week where you have to start Szoboszlai, Cherki, Rice and Rodgers. Semenyo is debatable, but for me, James, I think I would risk playing him. I think you're having a field day if both Cherki and Semenyo play, but I think it's unlikely. I don't mind selling Semenyo also, James. Again, you know, the reason I'd want to hold on to Semenyo is for that Wolves fixture next week. And again, there's no guaranteed start that either. But I would probably hold reluctantly onto Semenyo. But otherwise, that midfield sounds great. Gakpo to start, good differential. Gakpo is a brilliant differential, and I do expect him to start. Should I do Grealish to Tavernier or Enzo? Again, Tavernier and Enzo is a very, very close one. Long term, Tavernier is probably better, but short to mid to long term, Enzo is better. I have Gabriel and Raya as my two Arsenal assets. Is it fine to buy Rice as a third? It is absolutely fine to buy Rice as a third. I have no complaints with that. Gallagher is brilliant. A big fighter, absolutely. I've watched a lot of Gallagher for Palace and Chelsea, to be honest. And I've always really liked him. There was a point in time where I did want to sign him until he became Chelsea's captain, and then he turned us down. But now circumstances have changed. And a 5.5-year contract tells me everything I need to know about Gallagher. You know, he's here to stay. Obviously, we just signed him, but his head is well with us. Peter says, those Brighton numbers are annoying when we've no idea who to pick from them. Yeah, I think from Brighton, I think you can expect usually Jorginho, Rutter at least. And now that Mitoma's fit, I mean, Mitoma fit is always going to start in that team for me. It is a slight bit of a risk always going for Brighton assets because they always get subbed off after 60 minutes. But yeah, it is quite frustrating. Yeah, Thomas is fully backed. And if he's fully backed by the board, well, I'm fully on board. And I always have been. All good, Mark. Good to see you. I am good. Thank you for asking. Are you franking? I am franking, and I have been franking. Anyone who've been in the streams know where I stand with Thomas Frank. I genuinely think, you know, a lot of these performances are down to the players, the attitude from a lot of these players, the environment that these players are creating. It's quite toxic from my understanding. A player like Gallagher can come in and change this alongside a new coach. I'm excited. I am excited. Hello, Chai. Long time didn't watch your videos, says B. Negan. It's good to see the honesty. I'm back finally. Didn't enter the game for 3 fixtures, but now I'm 35k rank. I mean, that's just the way the season's gone. There's been so many dead spot teams that, you know, have done quite well this season because a lot of people haven't been active and picking up points because they're holding on to players. And my dad has been very, very similar to this. Sorry, I just need to reply to someone real quick. My dad actually hasn't changed his team at all. And he's currently sitting at 3 free transfers, thankfully. And his team is doing better than mine. Now, he's not at as high of a rank as myself, but he's in a good position at least. And it tells me everything I need to know about the season, that I should be a bit more patient. Sorry, I just need to reply to something real quick. Sorry, guys. Anyway, getting back to chat. Hello, Paul. Good to see you, Paul. Just need a winger now, says Dr. James. Absolutely need a winger. What are your thoughts on Enzo Lafia? And also, would you start Anderson over O'Reilly, please? I would not start English Anderson over O'Reilly. I would start O'Reilly over English Anderson. And what do I think of Enzo Lafia? I mean, he's not a bad one to hold on to at that price point. Are you making any transfers? Yes, Karen. I'll be doing, currently, as we stand, I will be doing Matheus Cunha to Xavi Simons. I just want to wait and see if we get any early City or United team news. Having gone through your team, who do I bench between Foden, Sharky, and DCL? And should I bring in Xavi for Cunha? Wesley, I would only bring in Xavi for Cunha if there's a chance you plan on wildcard 24. Otherwise, I would be doing Cunha to a Tavernier, Enzo, or Rodgers, without a doubt. Please pop a like if you don't mind. We'll be live on a watch-along stream for Manchester Derby. I'd actually love to do a watch-along, but again, I feel like it'd be quite boring. I like to sit there in my own peace and watch matches. And, like, I hate being that running commentator. Like, if I'm watching a game with people, I hate commentating on the game. Like, I feel like it takes away from other people's experience. Unless that is what you want to hear. Like, you want to hear my input on things. But there we go again. Anto with the 1 gifted Chai membership. Thank you, Anto. And Hakuna has won it. Anto said in the last stream that he would gift 1 membership every single stream up until the end of the season, which is absolutely wild, Anto. And so far, he's keeping up with it. But thank you, Anto, who has been so kind and supporting the channel and has been since the start of the season. I really appreciate it, Anto, and you're always so active in the group also. So great to see you, Anto, in here and being engaged, and thank you for supporting the channel as usual. And congrats to Hakuna. Do show your face in chat, Hakuna, if you're in here. Man of my word, yeah, absolutely. Eddie says, I'm on wildcard. Go Thiago or Watkins, please. I mean, in that situation, I'd probably go Watkins, but I don't absolutely love Watkins, if I'm being completely honest. But again, I would prefer him over Thiago. I'm surprised that I'm playing stack every single week and still gaining points. Yeah, that is wild. He's been a one that's been stop-start since his injury, but definitely not a bad option. I mean, I've seen worse. I'd prefer to have a stack maybe over Enzo Lafitte. Watch-along are mainly boring unless you're a supporter of a banter club like United. I mean, I think Spurs is probably a good one as well because, Spurs fans endure a lot of pain. Maybe that would be quite interesting to see. It's a pleasure. My fave channel by a mile. Thank you, Anto. Again, to all you who are in here, we are currently at the 22nd game week of the season. I've been consistent with at least 1 video every single week, and I've only missed 2 deadlines, which is, good for my standards in my opinion, and I've tried my best to be as consistent as possible.
UTC and UTV, good luck all, praying gesture emoji, red heart emoji.
They're all coming in now. FPL Sharp with a £2 super chat. Thank you, FPL Sharp. I appreciate you as always. He says UTC and UTV, good luck all. Up the Chai, up the Villa. FPL Sharp coming in as usual in here. It's good to see so many channel members. I mean, concurrent viewers is always good to see. People who absolutely love being here week in, week out. And David West, another one of those. Hello, Davis. I hope you're well, my man. Another man who's on wildcard. I'm surprised to see the amount of wildcards going into this game week. And we're actually going to do a poll. Let's do a poll on captaincy. Let's do Erling Haaland as usual. Let's do Liverpool, Asa, and then let's do other. I'm going to suspect Erling Haaland is going to lead the line for this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see anything, to be honest. Thank you again, Sharp, for the super chat. Much love, brother. And up the Villa, absolutely right. Peter says, I love to chill and watch football alone. The best way, yeah. Peter, a lot of people like that. Oh God, the Gooner in the house more than Davis. You know it's trouble when Davis comes in here. I have Haaland, Foden, Sharky, and Semenyo. Who should I sell, or should I just roll this week? Aditya, I would probably just roll this week. Again, it's very unlikely that you get all 4 of them start. But the problem with that, Aditya, is if you roll that this week, you're likely to roll it next week because you won't want to get rid of them for Wolves at home. But I would probably roll going into this week. Sat O'Reilly or Roden? I was Sat O'Reilly. Would you captain Wirtz over Haaland? You know what? If I had Wirtz, I would be tempted. Would I do it though? Probably not. As much as I'd be tempted, I think that's tough. Florian Wirtz over Erling Haaland. Gordon, not a bad captaincy shout, to be honest. I think if you told me Gordon would get 90 minutes in this game, I'd be all over it, but I don't see that likely. Captain Foden, Derby King. Yeah, Foden has been good in these fixtures, and I expect him to start. Would I do it over Haaland on penalties? Again, probably not. Tell me, Choi, dream signing for Spurs being realistic. Dream signing for Spurs that is realistic. Who would I go for? I would probably go for a winger. Maybe a Diamande also. But realistic signing for Spurs? That's tough. There's no clear standouts because I would want someone that goes straight into our team. Someone with a bit of experience and pedigree, but also young enough where long term he could be a star. And someone that really suits what Thomas Frank is trying to do. Now, I look at the players that Thomas Frank has tried to sign. He wanted Savinho and he wanted Morgan Gibbs-White. Gallagher probably suits the Morgan Gibbs-White replacement, and Xavi Simons is probably more similar. When I say similar, okay, maybe they're not that similar, but in terms of, technical player, quite good on the ball, Xavi Simons. So, who would I want? I would want a Barcola, which would never happen. Kevin Shad. You know what? Shaddy gets a lot of shade from Spurs fans, but I actually wouldn't mind a Shaddy either. No one really stands out, and it is quite hard. I mean, I'll be thinking while we stream, and if it comes to mind, I will say Startiu, Krupi, Mukiele, Cunha. I'd be hesitant in benching Krupi, but I probably would play Mukiele and Cunha. Wharton is the dream signing, realistically, but I don't know. I don't deem that as realistic. Why would he join Spurs over, for example? I don't know if Madrid is on the cards, but if it was, he'd never join Spurs. And then you would probably take a Liverpool, a City, a Chelsea, an Arsenal at this current stage over Tottenham. Enjoy from Everton. Yeah, Enjoy is a really good one, James, actually. He'd be very high on my bucket list. Sell Semenyo or Cunha? I would probably sell Semenyo. Aaron. Xavi Alonso is your dream signing? Yeah, Xavi Alonso is also a dream signing for me, but again, in this current stage, I'll be backing Thomas Frank. Okay, let's do a little scroll on this timeline to make sure we're not missing anything at all. Let's do a little refresh. Doesn't look like there's going to be any interesting information yet on the timeline, but I do expect us to get something out of this game before the timeline. Matoma to Spurs is realistic, yeah, but I wouldn't want Matoma at this current point. He is experienced, he's a quality player, but again, has struggles with injuries, and he is getting on. How old is Matoma now? Kiriko Matoma. 28 now. Again, I still think he'd be a hefty fee for a player who's 28. Selling Capia or Cunha. Both start, got one free transfer, and first on the bench is Rodon. I would just play Rodon and probably move on Cunha. Deal with Hincapie next week. Is Cunha out? No, not that I know of. Troy, could you rate my wildcard between 0 and 6.9? Absolutely, Kit. I actually need to check something real quick. Sorry, guys. How do you guys? I want to know you guys' thoughts in chat about Xavi Simons. Karen says the best Arsenal triple up. You know what? The more I think about it, Karen, about the best Arsenal triple up, I'm genuinely swaying towards having Saka involved in that. Like, I just wonder, is there any world in which I'd go Saka, Rice, Gabriel? Very expensive, but if there's no Palmer in the mix. Doesn't matter. Not really. It's hard. It is hard. I think it's very close though, at least. Even if you consider value, it is close. In my opinion, anyway. Chewy FPL says bench 2 out of Cunha, Krupi, Miley, O'Reilly, and Tarkovsky. I would bench Krupi and Miley and start Cunha and O'Reilly. I would start Cunha and Tarkovsky. I'm higher on Miley than most people just because I'm pretty confident he hits DEFCON. But DEFCON wouldn't be enough for me to play Miley over Cunha, I don't think. For me, Chewy, anyway. Gandhi early kickoff. Yeah, for me, no worries for me. I choose 3 defenders. Who would you start? Anderson, Timber, Hall, or O'Reilly? I would start Hall, Timber, and I would start... Again, please spell Anderson right because it makes it confusing, but I think I would start Andersen, E-N. Xavi will only get better and he's passing to him, absolutely. Mano stocks down after Palace raid. For sure, Davis. Palace stocks down. Bad environment currently, in my opinion. Best Saka triple up includes Raya for blanket 31. You think, yeah, I've seen press talk about that, Maximilian. I can understand that. It's easier to have a goalkeeper replacement in the blank 31. Rumour says Xavi will go left wing and Gallagher and Cam. And that's probably true, but it won't be Gallagher in game, actually, left wing. It will just be him floating in the 10. Alright, this is what we're going to do. Again, I have no idea if you guys have any interest in this, but I want to show you guys my current thought process if I go ahead with Xavi in my team. Are you not concerned that Cunha might be benched? Though that's what United fans are telling me. Yeah, Chewy, I've seen a bit of noise about that. And I don't know where that comes from. Like, realistically, Cunha is one of their best players on the day. He got an early sub last game week, not ideal, but in a derby, do you bench a player like Mateus Cunha? I know Brian Mbeumo's back, Ahmed is back, they're going to play 4 at the back. That's why I would lean on selling him, but if you're going to hold on to him, Chewy, surely you start him, if you know what I mean. OSG is benching Thiago, Lord have mercy. I was actually leaning towards benching him as well. Okay, let's pencil in some of my moves. So like I said, a potential wildcard 24 team. Luckily for you... Oh no, I don't have it on the app. Wait, can I log in here? Hold on, let me take this off and see if I can log in, guys. Give me 2 seconds. And then I can load my wildcard team for you guys. Stay with me a second, guys. Yes, it worked. Okay. So I actually have my... Or do I? I do. My potential wildcard 24 team here. Suspected to change due to, you know, some noise. But, again, we are on live FPL. Powered by Planet FPL, who are one of the best in terms of fixture tickers. So, let's give you guys a complete rundown on my current strategy. Subject to change. Game week 22 then. If I'm planning on doing... Actually, I'm going to take a swig of my water before we get into this. So, in game week 22, if I plan on wildcard in 24, it makes the most sense to go short term for me and go with a player that absolutely no one is going to own, that I think that there's some very high upside in. So therefore, I'm going to go Xavi Simons. I think it is likely that I go Xavi and leave 1.5 million in the bank. And this is key. 1.5 million in the bank for game week 23 is absolutely key because it leaves me the exact money to do Hincapié up to Gabriel. Oh my god, it doesn't. Gabriel got a price rise last night. Well, anyway, because I'm wildcard, it's not too much of a difference. And United at home, like I don't need Gabriel. I could easily roll in this week. Anyway, it was just part of the plan. But looking at the immediate team, I don't need Gabriel for this game weekend. I'll probably just play something like this anyway. So let's just actually undo that transfer and just say that I'm going and rolling this transfer, which is equally as good. Like if I look at my team for this game, I mean, I really like it. Something like that before wildcard in 24. Now, wildcard in 24, like I said, if I load my wildcard, is actually... let me put Allison back in this. Sorry. Reset this game week. Right, so 24. This is the wildcard I've penciled in currently. I do expect it to change. And Hincapié is still here because... Who was here before Hincapié? Who was it? It was Gabriel, I believe. No, it wasn't Gabriel. Who did I have here? Munoz, Virgil. Sorry, guys. Because I made a transfer there, it changed it back. Chalaba, I'm going to put there. And Allison was Sanchez, so he's actually going to go to someone else now. And Garner is actually going to be someone else as well. Who did I have here? I wouldn't have Sanchez on a wildcard, I don't think. And I probably would have Rhea. Again, because it suits the blank game week in game week 31. Garner would be knocked down to... Anyway, it would be something like this. Let's just say for now, this would be the team. Oh yeah, I'd go Tavernier here. And I'd have to pick up 0.5 elsewhere, which would likely come through Palmer. Who would I would probably make... I'd actually be tempted to go with just a Rodgers, which I think is solid. Anyway, it will be on the lines. On the lines of this. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. But the question is, how am I going to navigate from here to game week 26, 7, and then 31, where the blank is? So let's look at iterations of this team down the line. And to be honest, I would almost be tempted to go with So on goal, but if we say best case scenario, I'm fortunate enough to be able to have no issues in this team and roll all the way to when we have that double in game week 27, I believe it is, or 26. The team for 25 looks brilliant. Team for 26 looks even better. Looks something like that. Again, I'd play Chalaba in this world, in my opinion. Looks great. And then let me put on the projection so you can see where the double lands, which is 26. Triple Arsenal, we have Rhea. And it looks something like that, which I'd be very happy with. Again, roll the transfer again. 27, no issues with that team again. Again, play Krupi probably. Ahead of John Timber perhaps. And that team looks phenomenal. 28 is when I'll have 5 free transfers. And this is where I probably have to make a move. Here I could have a decision to make on whether I want to set up in a way that lets me get another asset for 31. Because, you know, if I look at this immediate team in 31, I have how many playing players? How many is that? I'm missing 3. So that leaves me with 8. And so that leaves me with 9 actually, because I have Dubravka. So that's why the preference would probably have Rhea over the likes of a Timber or a Saka, because it's easier to have a backup goalkeeper than it is to have a backup midfielder. Whereas you don't mind having a dead spot on goal. So that would be the reason for going Rhea on an early wildcard. And say, let's say in 25, if I look back to 31, where I have blanks, the positions that become hassle are Mateta or Haaland, which I could deal with, or Mateta, Haaland, Rhea, Rice, Lacroix, or Timber, which I could deal with either earlier in weeks where Palace have Newcastle home, West Ham home, which are great fixtures, but long term they're not great. I would probably lean towards getting rid of a Lacroix, if I'm being honest. Again, it would mean getting rid of some of his better fixtures in United's Leeds, West Ham. But again, if I have to cover myself and use a transfer anyway, you don't mind that. So if I look at fixtures again, it just means probably going to a someone who plays 31 and also doubles in 32, and that means a Newcastle defender. Again, these are not penciled in dates, but playing the probabilities. And sorry guys, I know I'm after neglecting chat. And I know there is a bit of speculation about Mateta to Juve, but I see that more unlikely than likely Davis currently. And because of Newcastle also playing the blank in 31 and having a double in 33, I would do Lacroix likely to a Hall or Chow. Let's just say Chow for the sake of it. Again, some decent fixtures in here. 2 home fixtures for Everton and United, and a home fixture in 31 with Sunderland and blank, and then a double, which is not ideal, versus Bournemouth and Arsenal. To answer your question on any leaks, Ice Valley, not as of yet. So that's how I'd look in 28. In 29, I'd have to make another move going forward. At this point, you probably just hold on to Mateta. He can score against Tottenham. He can score against Leeds. No problem at all. You probably play a Ronaldo with Leeds away, or you might play a Ronaldo. But at this point, you probably look at moving on to Chelsea, guys. Again, in the later run of games, you probably don't want Chelsea assets. Again, it would be interesting to see where Chelsea are at in this current point in time. But immediately, me looking at it, I probably have Krupi on the bench, and I don't have Enzo. Rodgers is probably a decent hold. Again, he does play that game in 31. And Enzo is probably the one I look to get rid of, even though he does play the fixture in 31 with Everton. Again, just looking later down the line, I'd have 10 current players in the blank and Reynaldo, which is not ideal. But I would probably look to get rid of Enzo. And again, going with the idea of potentially having the doubler in 33, and considering I'm going to free hit in 34, probably means bringing in Gordon or a Bruno G. And sorry guys, I know this is so long term and this is not going to be the theme, but this is what I'm thinking. And it's good to get an idea on how far I think down the line. But, that looks a decent team in 29. 30, not bad. Again, I'd play Krupi ahead of, probably ahead of Gordon. I mean, I don't know by this time. And Chalobah ahead of Chow. 31, we have 10 players. I actually don't know if I'd make a move. I probably would because I had 5 free transfers. But then in 32, we can start reevaluating the team. Get rid of Chelsea guys. Get rid of Bournemouth guys slowly. Set up for the double in 33. Which I'll have a lot of players for already. And that's why the Rhea and the Bravka combination actually works quite well. Anyway, long-winded ramble about my chip strategy. You guys mightn't care for what it's worth, but that's the plan anyway if I do end up wildcarding. Let's get to your questions then. Sorry, I just need to blow my nose. That spiel was long-winded. Anyway, get your questions in, and sorry if I've missed your questions in chat. Why 1 hour and 6 minutes when the deadline is sooner than that? Okay, let me quickly update that. I do apologise. We have 56 minutes until the deadline is up. Hope that's a bit better. Mateta could also score versus Milan and Napoli. He absolutely could. What are your transfers this week? I'm looking to do Xavi Simons in, but considering I'm potentially on wildcard. Do I sell Gay if I have him? He cannot play this game. Versus United, so I probably would hold on if you have a full 11. Otherwise, I would get rid. I expect him to start going forward though. How likely are you on that you go for Xavi, and would you take Marmoush to Spurs? Marmoush would also be deadly, but I don't think that's a possibility either. No Maliki, I'm not buying. I'm not buying Conor Gallagher. I actually think Gallagher could become an asset for those of you though, because he comes in at the same price or ish as Elliot Anderson, and Gallagher is a player who's going to get back-to-back 90s. I imagine. I can't see too much rotation. He's a player who has peak fitness. Just on Xavi Simons again, guys. I know I keep going back to him, but is City at home the worst of fixtures in 24 and United away in 25 if I had to play him? If I didn't wildcard? I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Anyway, going back to Twitter to see if there's any news. Bowen to Thiago Chai. I would not make that move at all, in my opinion. That's just me, Joe, though. Start Thiago or Stack? I would play Thiago. Again, penalties is a different story. Navigating blanks with no wildcard looks nerve-wracking. It is, but it is possible. And my thing with that is, you know, the problem with wildcard, I don't think it's a case where it's not it's not possible that you navigate through it without still making great teams. The issue is the lack of information. You know, all of these dates that I've shown you on FPL Team are all playing probabilities. Like if you're expecting all the favourites to win these games. And that's the issue. Right now, I can plan it as much as I want, but it's not the likely thing to happen. And also, there are scenarios where there are double game weeks in 35 or more doubles in 36 or 37. And without a wildcard, it's harder to navigate. But why I like the earlier wildcard also is it gives you way more weeks. You get, what's that, 14 game weeks with a wildcard in comparison to if you do it later after 31. It only gives you 6 game weeks of having a team. Now, that could be very beneficial, and it might seem like more weeks if there's more doubles and blanks, but again, I have to play it with my own team. And my own team, I've said for weeks now, I'm not happy with. And I don't have enough moves to be able to change it, and I don't fancy taking hits. So that's where I stand with that. Mackham is on double Villa attack, Frimpong, Semenyo, and double Sunderland defence. Mackham, that is wild, but I hope it works out for you. Jose says he has 2.4 million in the bank, wants to replace CUNHA. I really want to go Palmer, and I need the motivation. I think if I had the money, I would just go to Enzo anyway, because that would still leave the door open to go for Palmer. Start Chow or Garner. This is probably Garner's last week on penalties. I would probably go with Malik Chow though. Bench 1, DCL, Thiago, Rogers, Cherky. You probably play Rogers. Again, Villa, the better of those teams, other than Cherky, but you don't know if Cherky's guaranteed minutes, and even if he does, you expect Rogers to get 90. Best Keane replacement, if I have Gabriel and Hall. Timber, perhaps. Bowen or Semenyo. I would play Bowen, definitely. Or would I? Again, it really depends on how you see Semenyo's minutes. I'm on defense of I don't think Semenyo starts this game. Why? Because I don't see him starting 3 games in a row. Just checking some teams on Twitter, see if we're going to get any last minute information. Try Anderson, Tarkovsky, or Roden this week. Tarkovsky. Bench Krupi or O'Reilly. I would bench Krupi. Semenyo or Cherky or both. If you have him, I would hold on to him. Unless you have nothing else to do, I'd get rid of Semenyo. Sorry guys, I'm just scrolling on the timeline to see if we're going to get anything. And I think regardless, I mean, I'm going to lock in my team and make the transfer now. I'm not going to hold you guys. I actually think I'm just confident on going Xavi anyway. I'm going to take a punt, a bold one, but I think it could be worth it. 2 seconds, guys, and I get back to your chat. Okay, let me get back to chat. Sorry, guys. Bench CUNHA or Thiago? Says King. That's tough. I'd probably bench Cunha. Do you think Palmer starts? I think there's a good chance he does start, yeah. Sell Saka to one of Enzo or Rogers. I would sell him to Enzo, personally. Captain Enzo, absolutely not. I wouldn't be Captain Enzo. You have no idea who to replace Semenyo with? Rogers is safe. I think Enzo is a safe bet, lads. Palmer or Semenyo? To play this week, Palmer. Would you do Tarkowski to Gabriel? I would. I don't mind holding on to Virgil for this week, Ollie. Bench Bowen or Neto. Oh, that's tough. Bowen or Neto is tough because I expect Neto to get some good minutes. Bowen or Neto? Chat, Bowen or Neto? What would you do? I actually don't have a definitive answer. I think it's a flip of a coin. If we get a leak that O'Reilly starts, do I play him over Tarkowski? Yes, I would say. Would you bench Semenyo for Anderson or Tarkowski? Elliot Anderson or Tarkowski? I'd go Tarkowski. Which three defenders to play O'Reilly, Richards, Gabriel, Roden and Tark? I would play Tark, O'Reilly and Gabriel. Bowen says Shat. Bench Neto. Bowen on pens with no Paqueta. That's a good point, actually. Bowen is right, yeah. I need to get 90. Can you put up the clean sheet probabilities again? Of course. Of course. By the way, 100 you guys in here. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. Here are the clean sheet probabilities, my man. In the words of Dean Jones, the best Semenyo replacement is Semenyo. Fair. If Semenyo is guaranteed starts in that City team, he becomes vital because, he is some player and he's on the form of his life. Should I sell Bowen? No, probably not. Like, you probably have better things to be doing than selling Bowen. Same with Thiago. You probably have better things to be doing than selling Thiago, and they mightn't necessarily be a sell. No worries, Simi. Thoughts on Keane to Virgil or Van de Ven, Ballard or Mukiele? I don't mind Keane to Mukiele, to be honest. Van de Ven, on the other hand, I actually don't mind either, but I don't know if you don't want to play a Spurs defender week in, week out, whereas Mukiele is probably also going to rot away on your bench, and you much prefer to bench him. Alright, I'm going to make that move of Xavi. Because I'm confident. I am confident. Cunha to Xavi. I don't mind it. And you know what? Because it's the pen situation that, it's a risk that I don't think anyone else is willing to take. But I think if we win a pen, I can see Xavi taking it, lads. And again, I don't know if this is like a false sense of security that I've made up a narrative in my mind, and I wouldn't advise anyone to follow me. But again, with the fact that I actually don't mind hitting the wildcard button in 24 because I think I'll be able to plan and navigate throughout the rest of the season, I'm actually going to make the transfer. So, Cunha to Xavi Simons. I'm moving early. I don't think there's any information that I could get before the end of the deadline because I have O'Reilly that could make me change my mind. So, Xavi Simons is in. Again, 2-week punt and potentially on wildcard 24. I'm actually not going to say that means I'm definitely going to wildcard in 24 because, City at home is a tough game for Spurs without a doubt, and Spurs have been abysmal, but we know how Spurs have operated in recent seasons versus City at home game, and Xavi Simons is definitely going to play it. Why not hold on to Xavi? And let's just say I did not wildcard in 24. I looked at it a slight bit there. The team could be worse. I'll put it that way. And if it comes to it and I don't need to wildcard, I don't necessarily have to. Like, if I put Alisson back in here, and that is my team, and next week, let's just say I'm playing the long game and I actually can't do Gabriel in this given week, well then Thiago just plays again for me. You have Raul versus Brighton, which is not a bad game at all. Again, this is not necessarily where the issues come in. It's the week after this where the hassle comes in. Game week 24, And if I reset this game week and show you my team for 24, it would actually mean I have 2 free transfers to use in this game week. Now I know, like I said, not ideal that I probably have to play a Spurs attacker versus O'Reilly and Anderson with United, which I don't deem a great fixture. It would probably mean getting rid of someone like a Raul or Thiago and Gordon. And I can't play Hincapie either, and I'd need to get rid of him. So I'd probably be tempted to go and double up on their attack if I don't go the wildcard route in 24, because I know the double is coming up. I'd actually be tempted to just go from probably a Rayan Cherki, get the minutes risks out of here. You know, I wouldn't mind Gordon starting these next few games. And actually going Declan Rice. Can I afford that with 1.5 million? I sure can. Too many Arsenal, that means I have to get rid of Hincapie, of course. And that leaves me with 6.3. And I would just go with Marc Cucurella. And you know what? I actually don't think this is the worst of teams, if I'm being realistic. What would I do this game week? Who would I bench? I probably would bench... that's tough. Because then you have Saka, Gordon, Xavi, Haaland, and Raul potentially on penalties. We don't know what O'Reilly's minutes are going to look like. So I'd probably bench Anderson in that case and play something like that. Again, not ideal. By no means an optimal team. Then we go into 25, which, again, not the worst of teams, again, when I look at it from a second glance. I play a forward back. I would bench Thiago in this given week. No problems with Erling Haaland. Put the armband on Saka. Maybe it is not too bad, lads. It's a bit better than I'm making it out to be. And I'll probably play Dubravka with West Ham. Something like that. Going to 26. Sorry, guys. I know I'm just doing a lot of planning on stream. 26 is where it looks a bit poo-poo. I'll be honest. I have Alisson versus Sunderland. Anyway, I digress. Either way, Xavi Simons is not the worst of transfers if I'm going long term. Do I think Volumade starts? I think it's sooner rather than later that Volumade is going to start. Why you say play Tark over Richards? Because Palace are an absolute mess right now and Gay is not in the team. You can 100% salvage that team, I agree. And Samalo says Wildcard 24 is the truth. Yeah, it's not bad for sure. Will you make any transfers this week? I've already made a transfer. Xavi Simons has just came into the mix. I'm actually going to upload my team now onto Twitter before I forget. Like that. Someone is absolutely getting the love hearts in. Appreciate you. Would you do Cunha to Enzo? Absolutely, I do Cunha to Enzo. Let's do... Where am I currently? 373.94. Bear with me a second, guys. World emoji. You know the drill. Let's do OR. Haaland. Robot emoji. Let's go Xavi. Cunha to Xavi. Saying that on paper doesn't sound great. Let's do Netherlands. Taking a risk. Looks good short term, but also don't mind the fixtures and think there's a chance of pens. Taking a risk. Good luck. Show me some teams. If you're in here, put your team below and we'll scroll through a few. We'll rate them real quick, especially those who are on wildcard. I am really interested. But yeah, I am locked in. I actually think my team for this game week is not bad at all. And you know what else I want to do? I want to... Hello, Ed Barry says, Troy, would you start O'Reilly over Anderson if you had Calvert-Lewin? Yes, I would. Elliot Anderson, Tarkowski, Van Heck, start one. Tarkowski. Troy, would you consider captaining Xavi? Yeah, that was in my thought process too, but absolutely no chance over Haaland. No chance. Good to see someone taking some risks in this game. Yeah, that's why I find a lot of people follow me. And the thing is, as much as I take risks, it's not for the sake of it. You know, I'm not trying to be different because I want to be. It's more of a case where I think there is some calculated risk there, and I actually don't mind it. I'd be interested to see what people think of that. I don't think it'll go down very well. Leon, very nice team actually, Leon. 4 times City, and he's a United fan. I actually couldn't think of anything worse. Alright, I'm just going to scroll on the timeline to make sure I'm not missing anything. Just going back to my benching decision on O'Reilly versus Anderson. How do I see this game going? I'm still not locked in on, you know, whether I want to start O'Reilly. It's very, very tempting, especially because it's the early kickoff. When do Fulham play? Fulham do play today at least. I'm unsure. FPL calculated risk versus look of the game. Absolutely, Visser. So calculated risk on top of luck, you never know. It just could happen. It could fall into place for me. That's where a lot of my successes came in recent seasons. Okay, a lot of you guys sending in your teams. Good to see. The real human beanie. 2 free transfers thinking Nico O'Reilly or Tark. I think I would start Tarkowski in that case. Very good team though. A lot of people are well set up. You're starting to see a lot of the same team. This team is very similar to mine. Zoran, 30k overall. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Any benching changes, 1 free transfer. I would not change any benching decisions there. I played a home fixture with Bournemouth, or with Sunderland. Actually, I would bench Anderson for sure. Didn't realise. I would bench Anderson for Tarkowski without a doubt. Solid team though. I'd be tempted to sell CUNHA also. Maliki, we got Triple City in the house. Very solid team, Maliki. I would definitely be holding on to Martinez for the time being, I think. Just risk it. Interesting to see so many dead spots there, Maliki. What moves would you make? 2 free transfers, 0.4 million in the bank. I would definitely get a defender in that team. Is the move I would make, and play a 3-4-3. I would get rid of Minta and bring in a defender also, and I'd use the 2 free transfers. I'd probably edge towards trying to get in... you're in a tough spot there, because you don't have the funds to do... Actually, you could play 4 midfielders. 3-4-3, and bring in someone for Keane. I'm not going to say who, because I don't know what way you want to play this, but I would just do one move of Keane. Eddie, here's a team wondering if I should start O'Reilly or Anderson. Again, I'm in the same boat, Eddie. I'm leaning towards Anderson currently. But I'd have no issue if you want to play O'Reilly. I actually think there's very little in it. Probably just safer to play Anderson in my mind. Bit basic. Yeah, that is quite a basic team, I'm not going to lie. But it is well set up. You know what? Richards ahead of Tarkowski. You know, the thing is, Tarkowski could score a header versus Villa and get DEFCON in the first half. So I probably would just play Tarkowski. Anto in chat. Solid team, Anto. I do like your team. Palmer in there early. Very nice, Anto. Spacina's in here. Who to bench? I would start Palmer. I mean, if I had Palmer, I'd just play him. And bench Krupi. Nice team, though, Spacine. Bull Invest is planning up some transfers. Yeah, I would make those 2 moves with Chalobah and Enzo. Even without looking at your team, I'd make those moves. Another very similar and solid team, though. Zabir, again. I think I'd be tempted to play O'Reilly over Alderete. I see Palace definitely scoring this game, in my opinion. But other than that, another solid team. What is this? What extension are you using here, my friend? Love it. Wildcard active. Suggestions, please. Kenny Oglio on a wildcard. Interesting. I just wonder, like, would you go Jose Sa for the Bravka? Potentially. Other than that, looks good. Anton, thoughts on my team? Yeah, I have no issues with that team. To be honest, I'd be trying to play Sharky. Like, if I was you, I'd definitely try to play Sharky. Ahead of maybe a Thiago. But, again, if you don't want to play the minutes for a stare, Anton, fair. Okay. Back on the timeline, then back to chat. We have almost half an hour until the deadline is up. Again, I do hope you are enjoying the stream. Kieran is after bringing in Conor Gallagher. Lovely. There's no way you're benching Hall. Surely not. You can't be benching Hall there. Like, I would have rather played Hall than Conor Gallagher. Cunha to Tavernier and Roll. Solid team there. Enzo Lafie gets another run. FBL came in the streaming. Alright, one more little scroll. We'll get back to your questions in chat, guys. Bear with me for just a second. I hope you are enjoying the stream. Do me a favor, let's hit the like button and subscribe. Let's get the stream over 100 likes minimum. That would be ideal. And again, I do appreciate all you kind souls for being here. Hi, try start 2 of Elliot Anderson, Reinders, Mukiele, Richards, Thiago and O'Reilly. Tough one, that. Real tough one. I would probably play Mukiele. And I would play one of Reinders or Thiago. Probably Thiago for pens. HJ, I hope you're good. I'm all good. Thank you for asking, Matt. Thinking of punting on Aronson for Anderson. What is going on? And Cunha to Wirtz. What do you reckon? I don't mind a punt on Wirtz, I'll be completely honest. Aronson for Anderson, I haven't given a grain of thought. Kadioglu might be a shout. Could be a shout. Bruno G captain, wild Isak. Bench 2 of Olamade, Mukiele, O'Reilly, Grealish, Cunha, Wilson. In that case, I would bench probably O'Reilly and Grealish, I want to say. Apparently Twitter is saying that Sesko and Cunha are benched. I'd be interested to see where you're seeing that. I would be intrigued. Spurs, where's Spurs? 1.61 on that graph. Sleeper pick, trust me. It is wild. It is wild to captain Bruno G, in my opinion. Cunha to Enzo or Rice? I would lean towards Rice only because of the double game week that is potentially coming. United report. Let's have a look. UTD report. Samuel Luckhurst on Facebook shared a leaked XI. Manchester United team has leaked Lemens, Dallo, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Mino, Ahmed, Fernandez, Dorgo, and Buemo. It is unclear that if that leaked XI is accurate or deliberately incorrect. In the past, some incorrect XIs have been leaked in an attempt to unearth the source. The team will be confirmed at 11:15. Interesting. So make it as you will. He's basically saying he's unsure, but said it anyway. Where is Cunha? Wolves window. Tarko get Defcon. Fairs. But what if Wolves win and hold Defcon? What I'm on at the moment. Chewy. What you got for me, Chewy? You did say you're on wildcard, right? Or am I tweaking? No, he didn't. You asked me about Lewis Miley. Yeah, no, maybe bench Cunha. I don't like the noise around it, and you're right about that, Chewy. Maybe you're right to speculate about it. Surely not, Kieran. Seriously, Kieran, though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let me quickly pull up Hall's DEFCON numbers in recent weeks. They've been very good from my understanding. Okay, only 3 versus Leeds. But Burnley, who I would consider good for DEFCON to get against, but maybe on a similar caliber to Wolves. Won a penalty, almost scored. I mean, XGI 0.45 versus Palace. It's dangerous benching him, man, in my opinion. And now his minutes are more than likely going to be great. No Livermento. I could be wrong. What do I know? But if you told me, like, realistically, Kieran, Tarkowski is a difference of 4 points unless you think he's going to come up with a bullet header, which he more than well could. Happy weekend, Choi. Any news on Ekatike? Would you move on? No, I would keep Ekatike for this week. Might just say fuck it and flip a coin. Yeah, Chewy, it is tough. I think, you know, with the noise, there's no solid reasoning, I guess. What about his points away? Yeah, but is that how we pick our players, Kieran? Do you know what I mean? Like, who's a player that has picked up a lot of points away but mightn't necessarily do it at home? Like, I'm sure there are samples of that. Like, I mean, it's not Saka anyway. But no, I hear what you're saying, Kieran. Tarko cleaned bonus and DEFCON versus Villa in the reverse. Okay, I hear it, Kieran. I can understand that. For me, though, like, I just feel like surely you have to play the fixture. But Kieran, I'm not going to dispute you. You're having a phenomenal season. What do I know at this point? Hello, FPL. Choi, the differential goat, says Amwara. My team is as follows. I don't know if you can roll that with Paqueta, but overall, very nice team for this game week, Amwara. I think if you have a full 11 and you can bench Paqueta and stack, no problem at all. Exactly, Kieran. Very little in it. You're absolutely right. Do I think Saka starts? Yes. And Kieran, I'd be interested to see what you think of that, but I'd be very surprised if Saka didn't start this game. I actually think Saka's probably a better asset than it's made out to be. You know, there's been a lot of noise about people wanting to sell Saka for Rice, but I think Saka's still a good pick in his own right. Again, it's not a fair comparison, the likes of Rice to Saka, because we paid a premium because we know Saka can get double digits. That's not to say Rice can't, but Cucurella, James, Shalaba, who would you go? You know what, Cucurella's entered my thought process more in recent weeks, particularly because I think there is a bit of noise around, you know, Sanchez now, and Cucurella is going to be very high up the pitch in my opinion. Hello, Adam Sousa, good to see you. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, it's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the football today. Hey, Chai, how important is Gabriel? I'm actually having this conversation with myself every single week because as the weeks go on, another week I don't have Gabriel, right? And now it's getting to a point where Gabriel is almost 7 million. But every single time I watch Arsenal, Gabriel almost scores. And almost hits DEFCON if he doesn't hit it. And he's also the most nailed Arsenal asset. So the price is justified. I think if you told me Daniel Munoz is back in the picture full time, like, if you're not going to go with Gabriel, who are you going for, is the question. You know, whether that's enough money for you to get Palmer and Saka, let's just say, theoretically. Or that is a case of going for Cucurella, who you think can outscore Gabriel. There would be the only ways in which I would not go to Gabriel. I would go for a premium like Cucurella, who we know can get returns. Yeah, you're right. Cucurella could play that, but we just don't know. I would just be playing the minutes. And the fixtures are that good. The clean sheet probability is great. Do you think Cunha to Bruno G or Rodgers? I mean, personally, I would go Cunha to Rodgers over Bruno G. Would it be dumb to captain Watkins instead of Haaland? No such thing as dumb. Anything can happen in the beautiful game. That's why we play. Will Eze ever start a Prem game? Who knows at this point? Doesn't look like it. Hey, should I start two of Semenyo, Sherky and Thiago? I think I would start Sherky and Thiago. Again, particularly because Sherky was benched in that last game. Foden to Bruno? Not this week. I think I would hold off. I heard through the grapevine that Palmer needs surgery. Does anyone know if that is true? Yeah, there is speculation that at the end of the season he might get surgery, but how concrete that is, I'm unsure. Bench one of Cunha, Sherky, Alderete. I mean, at this stage, probably Cunha. Again, I just don't like the noise, and to be fair, the fixture's not great for him anyway. What to watch? That's brilliant. Yeah, it's mad when you think of the amount of people who will be streaming. It's crazy. Bench one out of Cunha, Sherky, Mane, Alderete, and Tark. I would bench Mane more than Chai Riley or Chow. I would play Malik Chow. Play Cherky or Rogers. I think you have to play Rogers because you know he's almost guaranteed 90 minutes. Again, let's bring back up my team for anyone who's just joined us. But do hit the like button, lads. Again, I'm not sure if we've hit the 100th like button goal. If so, let's make 150 likes. What do you think about Cole Palmer, captain? Absolutely no chance. Again, even if he does start this game, no guarantee that he gets the minutes. Sell Foden to which player? I don't think it's necessary to sell Foden this game week. Could be wrong though. Play O'Reilly or Anderson? I would play... Well, I'm playing Anderson as it stands. I could be really tempted just for the surety of O'Reilly if we get a leak that he's starting to play him. You know, it would be so frustrating if O'Reilly got something out of this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got more than 75 minutes. Bench Thiago or Cucurella? Ooh, that's tough. I'd probably bench Thiago. I feel like Cucurella has attacking threat, like. Is anyone going against captaincy? I know we'll put up a poll, but that doesn't look like it. Is there confirmed blank and double game weeks yet? Not confirmed, but if Arsenal progress, there will be a blank game week in 26. Is Frank gone if he doesn't win versus West Ham? No, I actually don't think so. But I think the morale of Spurs will be rock bottom. Did I miss anything where you discussed captaining Bruno Fernandes? No, Chris. You did not. Ray and Shalaba or Kelleher and Timber. Remember in the game week 31 blank. Yeah, did you see what I was saying there, Davis, about having Raya, why it could be beneficial? And again, I don't expect Timber to be benched at any point, but there is that slight chance that Timber would be benched between now and 31. And I actually quite like Shalaba. So to answer your question, Davis, I actually would be very tempted to go Ray and Shalaba. I really want to go Verts. Yeah, I think if I was on free hit, Kieran, I would be going Verts for sure. Bring in Rogers, Enzo, or Tavernier. Enzo or Tavernier for me. Sorry, did I say blank? I meant double in 26. Hello, Irish Pithier. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Palmer, captain, what are your thoughts? Absolutely stay away from. Start Anderson or Palmer? I'd be starting Palmer. I did Javi for Cunha last night thinking you might do something similar, being a Spurs fan. Good move, lol. That's the thing, though. Like, a lot of people will see this as a Tottenham move. I'm sure there is some aspect of that, but it is a combination of me knowing Spurs. Like, if this was Newcastle, if it was Villa, if it were, Fulham. I would bring in an asset with West Ham at home and Burnley away. If you take into consideration, I might be doing a wildcard 24, and that player I think might be on penalties with good minutes. Absolutely not, Kieran. I've done it before. Let me bring you back, Kieran, to when I done it. I captained Florian Wirtz only recently, and to be honest, I have absolutely nothing wrong with it. 20-pointer, outscored Erling Haaland, no issues there from my end. I'm all for it. Interesting to see why you brought in Conor Gallagher, though, Kieran. I'm interested to hear your thought process on it. I actually think it's a good move. I expect him to get quite advanced. Decent for DEF CON, going to be good for minutes. The only thing is, the first game in for me, he's not had consistent minutes for Athletic since this season. So I think if someone were to be subbed, it's likely going to be Gallagher in his first game, but could be wrong. Captain Gabriel, don't love it. Dr. James. Alright, let's do another little refresh on the timeline. 18 minutes into the deadline, lads. Get your questions in. Alright, we got this from Andy. Think I'm selling CUNHA. Although, as it says, it could be wrong. Yeah, again, this is just the Facebook tweet. Or post, sorry. See if we can get anything else, guys. Ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I hope we're all well. Let me know what's going on generally in your life. Where are you watching from, first off? Let's do where you're watching from, and then let's do what you're doing for the day. Is it a day, rainy day in, watching the football? Or are you working, or do you have other plans? Let me know in chat, lads. Kieran says, 2-week punt was I decide on Enzo versus Palmer versus Andrea Santos. I hear it, Kieran. For me, though, Enzo will probably be the standout for me. I mean, as good as Andrea Santos might be for DEF CON, Enzo provides way more numbers in terms of XGI. Captain Ekatike, again, I don't love the captaincy on Ekatike. I still feel like, even if he does start this game, which I would expect him to do, what are the chances of him getting more than 75 minutes in comparison to Haaland's minutes? Differential captain, please, Shy. If I were to choose Florian Wirtz, in bed with a hangover, spend the day watching football, love that Maliki. Being a United fan, it's painful to captain Haaland. Yeah, I know. It's tough, man. Like, there are weeks where I'd hate to captain Haaland versus Tottenham. And to be honest, there's been weeks where I avoided it. But still, I do get it. Do we think leaks will arrive in time? Maybe, but maybe nothing useful. Gallagher is a future Spurs captain. I would agree with that. But for him to be a Spurs captain, he'd have to be captain ahead of Romero, first off, who I think there's a chance we see leaving. Van de Ven, who I also think there's a chance of leaving. Madison, who will be here for, I imagine, another year at least until we see what happens in the summer. Xavi Simons, they're 4 players who he'd need to outlast first off and get captaincy over. But yeah, I do think he's definitely good for the dressing room. I'm watching from Thailand, says Jack. That is mad. Some big dedication to continue playing FPL in a different time zone. I'm from your dreams. Already done a 5k park run this morning, so plans are nice. Hop at whilst I watch you and the deadline. Love that, Kieran. Fair play. My mum's coming around, says Chris, for the day, and we're watching the derby. She's a City fan, though. Whoever loves or loses has to buy a takeaway this evening. That's brilliant, Chris. That's very wholesome. Anton says Sweden here. Very nice, Anton. Sean says Dublin. Hit a bit of footy and maybe some DIY around the house. What type of DIY? Some gardening, some little mini jobs. Morning from Serbia, says Neman. Start Igor Thiago or Harry Wilson? I would start Harry Wilson. Hello, Choi, says Martin. Bench one of Bruno Guimaraes, Mitoma, Foden, Bowen, Wilson, Saka. I mean, if you have Mitoma at this current point, you play him. I think if I had to choose, it would be Bowen against the mighty Spurs. Working away in Malaysia just for the day to watch some football. Wow. Let me know if you've been to Malaysia. If you have, what do you think of it? What are your thoughts on captaincy on Bukayo Saka? I mean, I think a lot more people would be on it if we saw some sort of returns in the last 2. To be honest, I don't mind it, but again, it's just one of those that I don't love. I'm still stuck with Hincapié. Will he start today? I doubt it. I doubt he'll start today. But again, would you be very surprised with Arteta? Absolutely not. You wouldn't be. Again, I will be refreshing the timeline to see if we get any sort of information. Is Bowen a sell? He might be on penalties today with no Paqueta. Paqueta news, I don't think we're going to get anything solid. Why Gordon over Bruno, G or Wilson? Penalties, and then he got subbed off and didn't take a pen. But originally that was the thought process. Martin, you must be a United fan, are you? Chai, would you buy Caicedo or Tavernier? I'd buy Tavernier. The bathroom needs painting. There's nothing worse than a painting job. Can't lie. Nothing worse. Owning Hincapié has been nothing but pain, lads. Genuinely. Okay. No Xavi cap. You only live once. Nah, not for me this week. 1 out of 1,000 grapes will kill you. Each one you eat is 100k in your bank. How many are you going to eat? I would eat 0. If I'm being completely honest. To be honest, I think, that my life is way more valuable than any amount of 100k could be in a 1 in 1,000 chance. The probabilities would need to be way, way bigger than that. Like I would say 1 in 100,000, and I might eat 1, and then I'll take I just value my life way more than 100,000, even though it is 1 in 1,000. Therefore, like if we're saying the probabilities, what is that? That's for every one. Actually, I'm not even going to try to do the maths on that. Are you going Tavernier on wildcard, Chai? If you go in wildcard 24, I think there could be a good chance that I do that. Any Man City leaks? No Man City leaks as of yet. Tavernier on wildcard, I think, is definitely really likely. Again, I need someone around that budget who's going to cover me in game week 31, I believe it is. Malaysia was great. Stayed in Sofitel where I played golf, sunbathed, and ate a great amount of street food. That is brilliant. Sounds like a dream come true. 12 minutes until the deadline is up, lads. Again, I just want to show you this graphic. I think it's really interesting. Chance of getting DEFCON versus clean sheets. It's actually very interesting. Looks like Shalab is one of the best on the list. I'd eat 5, says Simi. 5 in 1,000 chance of dying for 500k. 5 in 1,000 chance is 1 in 200 probability. I don't like that. Okay, there we go. We got some news. Ekatike starts. FPL newsletter. Who would have thunk it? Was not expecting that, I'll be honest, for the Liverpool game. Ekatike starts. That was easy. What a refresh pull that was. Well, there you go for anyone who is planning on captaining Ekatike. Nice little leak for you guys. You know what? I might again, I wouldn't ever advertise gambling, but I'm feeling a cheeky bet today. Rodri starts today. No, feck it. I'm captaining Foden. I don't mind it, Maximilian, but don't love it at the same time. Cunha on the bench for Kadioglu. Absolutely Empa. Shirky or Shade. I would play Shirky. Enzo or Tav. I'd probably go Tavernier for the value. And long term, it depends what you're looking for. I think Enzo's a better asset. But long term, Tav is as good. Cunha or Ekatike captain locked. Would you captain Ekatike over Haaland? I don't think I would. Again, only because I'd be a bit scared on early subs. Me personally. You know, there's a high chance that Gakpo gets played up top. Lads, this is why I love Enzo Fernandez. Any player is good in those fixtures. If it was a Burnley asset, they'd be good in those fixtures. Take a couple of grapes, Shy. The best medic in the land will be there to save your life. But I'd like to hope so. If I had Anto beside me, I don't know if you'd be able to save me from these poisonous grapes, Anto, but I'd back you. HI, Cunha and Keane to Tavernier and Chalobah free. Absolutely. Love those moves. Well, lad, says NX. Good to see NX. To free up funds, would you get Tavernier or Garner? I would definitely go Tavernier. The problem with Garner is now with Njai coming back when he plays the final, he'll be on penalties, of course. Like we expect. Where are you seeing that, Ian? Gakpo doesn't need starts. Thank you, Ian. Well, there you go. Gakpo was the other one that I considered this game week if I was not going to go Xavi Simons. Now, the reason for Gakpo, although the fixture is brilliant this week, if Ekitike is going to be subbed off early, which I would expect him to do, Gakpo might have some minutes up top. Also, in game week 23, he plays against Bournemouth. Bournemouth have been absolutely abysmal. So I actually really like Gakpo as a punt for anyone who's considering a punt. Especially if you're on wildcard and you have Ekitike in it currently. I actually think there's a chance where I might try fitting Gakpo. That's good for Verts because he'll be playing in the 10, absolutely. Thoughts on if VDV moves to Liverpool? I'm unsure about that, but I would not be surprised in the slightest. And to be honest, I cannot blame him with Tottenham's current state of affairs. All the team news is coming through, guys. Thank you, Ian, for putting that in chat, by the way. Appreciate you, brother. And to the 150 you guys who are in here, do hit the like button and subscribe. So Gakpo and Ekitike start. What's wrong with Gahey? He's not eligible to play because they didn't sign over in enough time. Does Shirky start? That's the question. Does Shirky start? And if Shirky does start or doesn't start, I'd be benching him for O'Reilly. Alright. I'm going to be vigorously refreshing the timeline rather than answering your questions in chat, lads. Because I think there is a good chance that we get more information on some of the City guys and also Liverpool. In my opinion, because we've not got any City news yet, the answer is that it's not known by anyone yet. Because again, making 3 o'clock news rather than the 12:30 ones, which is in about an hour and a half's time, well, it suggests that you don't have anything on those games yet. Does Vert start? I mean, I'd be very surprised not to see Vert start. Looks like pretty much everyone is locked in. Hopefully, anyway. I think people are just awaiting information like myself. Again, stay tuned. We're going to display it on stream. And I'll pull back up Lazy FPL in case we get anything. Try any City team news? No City team news yet. But we've got Ekitike. Again, I'm just going to put it in chat for anyone who's just joining. Ekitike plus Gakpo start. 6 minutes until the deadline. Again, I'm frantically refreshing. Shirky did post on the matchday graphic, to be fair. How much you read into that, I don't know, but alright, let's reload Lazy FPL, see if they've brought us anything else. HI, what are your thoughts on benching, ranking Rodgers, Tavernier, DCL? That is really tough. I would play Rodgers and I would play Tav. Does Palmer start or should I put Garner on instead? I think I would just play Garner anyway. Or I would play Palmer anyway. Is Szoboszlai starting, Chai? I don't see a world in which Szoboszlai doesn't start. Is Cunha starting? There's a chance that Cunha doesn't start. We got a little leak that there's a potential leak that he's not starting. Again, we're going to be refreshing. There's a chance that even a minute before the deadline, you're not going to want to miss it, lads, that we get some more information. So keep us on. Hi, should I please bench one out of Enzo, Neto, Cherki, or Thiago? Neto, Enzo, Cherki, or Thiago? Probably Thiago. Ballard, Mukiele, or Alderete? Ballard. What are your thoughts on Captain Haaland or Bruno G? No thoughts, just Haaland because I fancy the fixture. I feel like CUNHA will play. If you feel like he'll play, I'll play him. I can't believe it. FPL Olympian has brought in Romero and Gallagher. He's on wildcard 24, I believe, but my God. And he's benching Foden. What is going on? What is going on? He's uncursing my Spurs. I see what you did. Again, lads, I will be refreshing the timeline in just a second. Can't speak. Give me 1 sec. Uncursing Tottenham. Okay. Focal has Frimpong start Sobasa. Let's do Focal. Has he posted about it? Oh, he has them starting, or he has a leak. Let's refresh FPL newsletter. Still nothing else. CUNHA to Xavi or Rodgers? It depends how long term you're looking. Long term Rodgers. Ishang says, I hope you're doing well. I am. Ishang, thank you. Do you think Enzo starts tonight after playing 90 versus Arsenal? Yes. Enzo's a minutes monster. I'd be surprised not to see him start. Thoughts on DCL captain? Get out of here with DCL captain. Keeper sell Volamaty for Calvert-Lewin. I'd hold on to Volamaty, I think, just for one more week. Apologies if he does get benched, but if it were me, I feel like it is a matter of time until Volamaty gets to start. Anderson or O'Reilly? I'm still on Anderson. I'm waiting to see if we get absolutely anything from the FPL newsletter on O'Reilly. It doesn't look like we're going to get it, lads. Benching O'Reilly is dangerous. Dangerous. Penguin says, love you, mate. Got you, man. Don't worry. Still nothing on the timeline, lads. Again. Let me open the FPL newsletter again last time. Still nothing. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything either. There's only 1 minute till the deadline. Again, I'll be refreshing just in case, but I don't think so. Okay. One more look at the FPL newsletter, and then I think I've given you as much information as possible. 1 minute until the deadline, though, lads. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, as usual. Again, I am locked in. Xavi Simons in for me. I hope I've answered all your queries and questions throughout the stream. Do me a favour before you go. Do hit the like button and subscribe. I hope we hit over the 100 like mark. Again, I hope you enjoyed the stream. And it's been very enjoyable to be back. Again, do expect more videos from me. Transfer plans, team selection will be there. Hello, FPL Joe. Great work on the content. Great to see Focal retweet your stuff, Joe. CUNHA brace incoming. Any news? Stack rumoured out. Again, the deadline is just about to pass, so I don't think we're going to get anything solid on this. Again, I will check the FPL newsletter one more time for you guys. There's about 10 seconds left, but nothing has come true. So, again, the deadline has just passed. Again, I hope you've had all your decisions penciled in and you have had the time to think about it. Again, just to recap, I brought in Xavi Simons for CUNHA. I plan on potentially wildcard in 24. I'll need to think and get more time to think about it. But I'm going to leave it there, lads. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as usual, I will see you in the next.